Hello, welcome to the Cloud Blue Podcast post-match reaction. It's 25 to midnight on a Wednesday evening, and Aston Villa have beaten Manchester City at Villa Park to make it 14 home Premier League wins in a row. I'm Dan Rolinson, your host for this evening's show, joined by Matt Kendrick. Matt, how are you?
Just counting them 14. www. Is that 14? Does that sound like 14?
That's a big dub, isn't it? I think the kids say.
It is. They say 14 big dubs, I think. It's remarkable, Dan. It's absolutely remarkable. I've got to be careful to kind of come back down from this crest of a wave, but at risk of getting carried away, that it might be the best Villa team I've seen in my lifetime.
Wow!
And as regular listeners know, I was born in 1874, so that's quite a boast. We were just fantastic. It would have broken my heart if we wouldn't have won that match today because we just deserved it so much.
Yeah.
We're the real deal, aren't we?
We really are. Honestly, I cannot believe it. I think I was trying to think before we came on of like good podcasts we've done over the years, and there probably isn't many, is there? You know what I mean? Like good results. I mean, of us talking about big wins, and like the 7-2 comes to mind. You, me, and James Rushton jumping on straight after that. You with a kind of 7-up, but we weren't there in the stadium. Were we? It was totally different. That obviously it was a great win, but a totally different experience. I genuinely can't think of a better time for us to be doing this kind of show, that kind of result. Just, you know, when we say like, if you're going to beat Man City, you've got to be perfect. Players have got to be given 10 out of 10s. That's what it was. They were unbelievable. The best I've seen that game was, I think, tonight. The first half in particular, I actually tweeted what a scintillating game of football that was. And people were like, it was only halfway yet. And I actually meant half of football, but I was so excited. I forgot that crucial part of the information. But that tweet held up at full time with the result going our way in the end. I just can't quite get my head around what I've seen there tonight. Unbelievable.
I don't know what John Townley's player ratings looked like tonight, but I couldn't spot a weak link amongst them.
No.
I thought we were magnificent all across the pitch. If I'm being hypercritical, there was a little spell, perhaps the first 10 minutes of the second half, where I thought you've set your standards now. First half, you slip below it, and we're going to get done here. But we made the reigning treble winners, look bang average. Really, and they're not bang average, and you can say that they've got a handful of players missing. Even their reserves will probably qualify for the Champions League. So don't underestimate what a complete performance it was from us tonight. I'm not even sure 1-0 even begins to do it justice, to be fair. No. What a statement it is as well. And I'm not, listen, I will calm down a bit. I've only got a cup of tea here, but I'm not saying we suddenly kind of in the title race and we're going to do this.
Is what you asked me on Monday.
Yeah, I know. Maybe ask me again after Saturday. But what a time to be alive, eh?
Yeah, I've said a few times when you play somebody like this that go at them, like make their lives difficult. Don't give them too much respect. We know they're very good, but if you let them play their game, they'll destroy you, because this is what these kind of teams do. And we got into it straight away. From the first couple of minutes, you could tell we were up for it from the off. Everyone looked on it straight away. Sorry, by the way, I'm full of snot. I keep wiping my nose. Just one of those performances where everyone's putting in 10 out of 10s. I have seen John's player ratings, and there's a couple of 8s and a couple of 9s in there. So I think he's been far too harsh, to be honest. I think Boubacar Kamara got an 8, and he was possibly one of my man of the matches. There was so many you could pick from. But that's what you need. If you're going to go up against the top side, you've got to go at them and make their lives difficult. And sometimes they can crumble. And that's what they did tonight, Man City. They looked uncomfortable in a way that I've not seen Pep Guardiola's Manchester City look uncomfortable before. And I don't want this to go down, as I don't think it will, in the kind of like national media, that this was an off day for Man City, or they just looked a bad day at the office. We made them look rubbish. We made it uncomfortable for them. That was Villa being very good, not Manchester City being very bad. As much as they weren't great, we made them that way. This wasn't just an off day for them or players missing. Like you said, it's still a very, very good side.
I'm just wondering, I know I'm kind of your boss and John's boss. So I wondered, is 10 enough for player ratings anymore? Do we need to mark out more than 10 going forward?
Yeah.
It's interesting, because I was thinking on the way back to the car, I wonder what Mikel Arteta and Arsenal players and Arsenal fans will think of this. Well, they'll obviously be buzzing, I think, because Man City are clearly their main rival for the title, or they were. Will they be pleased that their last minute winner last night has now given them this cushion ahead of a big run of festive fixtures, or will they be thinking, actually, I don't fancy going there. I don't fancy going there on Saturday tea time. We've seen what the atmosphere like. We've seen the intensity that team can play with. We've seen the quality that team can play with. I think they'll have feelings. As much as that's a win for them in the title race, I just think if we're anything like that on Saturday, we'll roll over Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that will naturally come, because that would have taken a lot out of us this evening. But honestly, Dan, I can't. I'm trying to kind of hark back to some of the areas of all that I've seen, and obviously we're still waiting for Emery to really put the seal on this by taking us into the Champions League for the first time since it's become the current form, by winning a trophy, whether that's a domestic or a European trophy. So we still need him to kind of, put that kind of flourish on it. But some of the football that we're playing, I don't think I've seen it matched, to be honest. And Big Ron, we've talking about, that was quite a swashbuckling era. I think it's surpassing that. And I know that's kind of 30 years ago. My memory's beginning to fade a little bit. But it's just the man. What kind of voodoo magic are we witnessing? Do you know what I mean? The man's a miracle worker, given what he's inherited and what he's turned into. I just thought, looking at Yuri Tielemans tonight, 2 or 3 months ago, I didn't think he was fit enough to get around the pitch. I think it was the fella next to me kind of described him as a kind of right-footed John McGinn today, because of the energy that he was putting in. He's played the best part of kind of 80 minutes or more at that match at high intensity. Has got around the pitch, has used the ball wisely. And we could go through the team. Like you said, Kamara was brilliant. I think possibly, Louise was brilliant again, but I think Kamara and Tielemans kind of stepped up to match the kind of McGinn and Louise level. And when you've got that happening across midfield, you've got, the world's number one goalkeeper who is alert at the biggest, most crucial moments.
It's unbelievable.
Honestly, I could just reel them all off, Dan. It was mind blowing. So good, so brilliant.
As much as we say like we've made Man City look pretty ordinary, they had 2 shots in that game, and they were the 2 from Haaland, that double save for Martinez on the 11th minute or something. So, and again, people make of stats what they will about XG. After the 11th minute, Man City had 0 XG throughout the rest of the game. They didn't create a single opportunity to score after the 11th minute from that double save. That's such a crucial moment during the game for Martinez. The first save is brilliant. The second one is even better. And that's why, we think he's the best goalkeeper in the league, the best goalkeeper in the world. That keeps you in the game. But the energy throughout the whole team was unmatched. Man City couldn't, as much as talent that they've got and how many wages those players will get and how many transfer fees that Man City have spent to build that team, or I know they're missing players, but they spent a hell of a lot. They couldn't match what Villa had tonight in terms of endeavour or work rate or whatever. Everyone was absolutely on it. And I think we've said this a million times before, somebody that deserves the praise, John McGinn, when he plays well, Villa play well. And it's simple as that. And I thought he was excellent tonight. His best performances for us as well, I think.
I can't believe how he was brilliant second half, and I think, but that first half, I think kind of poor Rico Lewis has been absolutely owned and bullied. And I know he's only a kid, and I'm sure he's going to go on. He's already a really talented kid. I'm sure he's going to go on to be a really, really brilliant footballer. But McGinn bullied him physically. He actually kind of outpaced him and outrun him in terms of energy. And the thing that struck me about McGinn, and I'm sure I've noticed this before, whether I've mentioned it before, is he operates at 1,000,000 miles an hour. His body, his legs move at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but his mind has this really brilliant way of slowing down during the course of this frenetic movement to actually stop and think a couple of steps ahead.
Yeah.
I've never known anybody like. He's like a whirling dervish, but he can actually almost have an out-of-body experience that he can still, even if he's spinning around like a madman, he can still see a pass at the corner of his eye and execute it. And
I
it's
think
just
to be fair, you can
remarkable.
say that about a lot of the players. I mean, it's still only just over a year of Unai Emery, really. They just know what they're doing, don't they? The players, they know exactly what game plan they've got to carry out. They understand what is being asked of them. And on nights like tonight, you see that in full flow, that everyone knows what job they've got to do and carries it out to a 10 out of 10. We spoke on Monday in our big kind of debrief podcast about Ezri Konsa at right back and whether that's the right choice, or whether Diego Carlos should not really be playing in the side. Unbelievable, those two. I've said unbelievable a lot tonight, but it does feel like that. Kind of pinch yourself, we're dreaming. Everyone to a man, absolutely excellent. I thought the whole defence was great, but Contra on that right hand side, Carlos having the physicality to be in there to match up with Haaland. You know, we saw Tara Mings, didn't we, last season, kind of be one of the only defenders to keep Haaland quiet. And you worried that without his physical presence, who's going to do that job for Villa tonight? And up steps Diego Carlos out of nowhere. Pau Torres, excellent on the ball. I mean, we did our combined 11 with Man City either this morning or yesterday. Pau Torres could play for Man City easily, comfortably, playing exactly the same kind of football they do. And Luca Dean, somebody that, you know, we'd in the summer we'd have gone, I'll get rid of him. He's not as good as Moreno. Moreno's fit and ready now and available to go. And Luca Dean is still playing, still putting in unbelievable performances, kind of going under the radar a little bit of how good he's been. And everyone in that team, I mean, we've pretty much listed everyone there besides the forward players, was just perfect. And that's what you need to beat Manchester City, and that's what they were.
Have you ever seen grown-ups take part in a game of pass the parcel?
No, but I'm sure I will one day.
You will do eventually, but if you've got loads of kids playing pass the parcel, they pass it really, really fast, really rushed because they want to get back to their turn by the time the music stops. We've got like the grown-ups and the dads playing pass the parcel because they're so calm passing it. You know what I mean? They're just almost, and it's classic Emi Martinez in terms of slowing it down and frustrating. A dad playing, I'll force this analogy as far as I possibly can. A dad playing pass the parcel will hold on to it as long as he possibly can because he'll want to annoy the kids around him. And I think that's what our defence does now so well. I mean, we're using that ball across the back five, if you including Martinez, and we don't panic anymore as fans. We don't panic. We're like, they've got this. They'll do this. And to do that against, like I said, the reigning Premier League champions, I forgot what they won. FA Cup, wasn't it? Was it FA Cup,
yeah.
FA Cup League and Champions League. To do that takes a hell of a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of confidence in your ability. It takes a lot of confidence in each other. And that's why we've got a magic man who's able to instill that in a record time, really.
Let's talk about the forward line as well. Leon Bailey, of course, starts, something we've talked about. Maybe he's better off the bench. Maybe he's better as an impact sub. Again, like McGinn and like a few players, to be fair. That's probably Bailey's best match in a Villa shirt for us, I think. I think that's probably quite safe to say, in fact. Diaby, someone you bring off the bench at 75 minutes or whatever it is, a player of his talent to try and just, keep it going. He's unbelievably mad. Bailey, very, very good. Who's off the left-hand side? Oh, Tielemans, of course. Obviously, he's playing, isn't he? And McGinn and what's his face, Bailey. Ollie Watkins is not someone probably who's going to get the plaudits of that he scored or got an assist or anything, but he's just still involved in absolutely everything with his new look haircut. Looks slightly different, doesn't he, with his hair? But he's just a busybody and in people's faces and closing people down, causing mistakes. Again, like I said at the very top of the show, making it difficult for Man City. Because that's what you've got to do. If you let them dictate the game and do what they want, they'll steamroll you. And we've seen that far too many times. What was the tweet you asked me to do this morning? Andy Varman scoring against Man City. It's 10 years since we last beat them. I know we've not played them a few times because we were relegated, but how many times have we just written off the chance of us, Man City? No chance tonight.
But how many times?
No longer is that the case, I don't think.
How many times in the past when we have beaten a top team, like a really elite team, and I'm not knocking this because it sometimes it has to be that way. Has it been kind of backs to the wall, smash and grab, see what you can get on the break and that kind of thing? This was a super controlled performance from start to finish. So I think, I mean, back on the topic of Leon Bailey, I think some of his footwork tonight was mesmerising in tight spaces. You think, blimey, that's just remarkable. You know, there was a couple of the half chances fell to him, didn't they? In the first half, and you think, you know, could he have done better with them? But he's making those runs. He's getting in dangerous areas. Yeah. I think generally he's looking after the ball better than he used to, and making better decisions. And like you said, what a nice luxury to have, where when Bailey tires or gets a little knock towards the end, you've got quality in the shape of Moussa Diaby. Likewise, you know, when Tielemans he's done towards the end of the game, we've got Jacob Ramsey back, and you know, our bench now, or our bench tonight, 4 or 5 players on that bench, you know, we'd have dreamed of those players when we were in the Premier League previously, and now that's our squad. And we've said this time and time again that that's the way you improve, when your support cast has the quality to come on and influence games, whether that's defensively or offensively. That's when you can start to compete. Honestly, mate, I can't wait for Saturday. You know, I don't want the feeling from tonight to end, but I'm just buzzing for Saturday.
Well, we said, didn't we, in the week that, you know, how many points would we kind of be happy with, I guess, for these next 2 games, and I'd have been fairly happy with a point from both, maybe 2 draws would be okay. You said you'd be disappointed with anything less than 3, and I put that clip on social media this morning and got people saying, "Who's this idiot? Who does he think he is?" You've got your 3 points at least now, Matt. So you're not going to be disappointed this week, and I don't think anyone will be with that. But we said the dynamic will be interesting. So I actually thought we'd beat Arsenal out of the 2. I thought we might lose tonight and beat Arsenal was my prediction. We said that the dynamic could be interesting if we were to win tonight. What does that mean for Arsenal? You've got like the one side of the argument that you've put everything in tonight and we faltered on Saturday because of it, because we've put so much into it. What is the phrase that after the Lord's Mayor show, is it? Possibly some kind of element of that, if that's a phrase that still exists. The other side of it is, if you beat Man City, you can definitely beat Arsenal. They're not as good as them. Yes, they're top, but they're not as good as Man City overall. You've got the atmosphere of everything that came with Wednesday, the momentum that comes with that to head into a Saturday tea time. Like, everything is on that. Everyone's eyes will be on that game of a top of the table clash, isn't it? There's no 2 ways about it. What side of the coin do you think it will fall on? The Lord's Mayor show or the super tasty atmosphere?
I don't think it'll fall flat in terms of, I don't think we'll be found wanting. I think the performance level will still be good, whether it's quite the level, you know, whether all your players get 10 out of 10 performances is a different matter. I think we'll need to be at similar levels, but it's not beyond possibility for us to do that and to maintain it again. I'm really intrigued to what this season has in store, because starting the season, going as far as we could in Europe, going as far as we could in the domestic competitions, and qualifying for Europe again, I think would have been a reasonable level of expectation. You know, and we're not in a title race. It's only the 6th of December, but we maintain this level of form, and it's a massive if, isn't it? But imagine if in 2 months' time we've still been this competitive. Our home record is still super strong. We're still picking up a lot of points along the way. You know, it could get to the stage where we're almost expected to be nailed on Champions League.
Yeah. A bit like Newcastle last year. You kind of thought, well, they're definitely going to be in and around the top 4 now because they're just so consistent. Probably around January, February, I suppose, you're starting to think, well, they're probably nailed on for a top 4. I think people think the same about Villa. So I think, you know, I know we've got the Mostar game still to get through, but I think we'll beat them anyway. We don't play in Europe again until March. So we've got between now and March to really continue to put a run together. If you're still 4th come March, I think most people will say, well, Villa are probably going to finish in the top 4. because it would take probably quite a drop off to. He still could obviously drop off at that point in the season. We've seen it plenty of times before, haven't we? With Martin O'Neill, who was on the Prime panel tonight, you get to March, April, and lose every game and drop out of it. But that's not going to happen under an Emery. If we're still up and around it come that time of the season, I think we'll see the job through. Just on the title thing, very quickly. And I'm not saying that we're in a title race. It's just too early for that. I've already said my piece on it. I just don't think we've got what it takes to put a consistent run together to win a title. It's a really difficult thing to do. We saw Arsenal last year, didn't we, who fell apart after being top for 300 days or whatever it was. The comparison I wanted to make, and this is obviously going to make it sound like I'm saying we're in a title race, it's to with Leicester City in the year that they won it. And I only remember this for a weird personal story in that, do you remember the game? I think it was around the end of January or the start of February in the year that they won the league. They went to Man City and won 2-1 or 3-1. I think Mahrez scored, and everyone it was on TV. I think it was a lunchtime kickoff, and everyone kind of sat up then and thought, oh, okay, maybe Leicester are serious about this. Maybe they actually can do this. They've just beat Man City. This is like the turning point. I felt at least that they can maybe go on and do it this year. I'm obviously not saying us beating Man City tonight means we're in a title race and this is the year we go on to win it. But there's something that from tonight there would be some kind of belief maybe to think, well, if we can do that there on the 15th game of the season or whatever we're on, why can't we finish fourth this year? Why can't we finish third if we put a serious run together? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Does that maybe give us some kind of belief to go, well, if you can do it against Man City, the best team in the world, the best team in Europe, why can't you do it against X, Y, and Z? And I know we've just come off just a draw against Bournemouth, and that's the way football goes. But just like setting the precedent for this is what can be achieved if everyone's at a 10 out of 10. Is this kind of that little turning point for Villa?
I don't know, because I think that belief was there within 2 days of him coaching the team at the start of last season, because they went kind of head to head and beat Manchester United and kind of got that kind of albatross off our backs, like 25, 30 years or whatever the record was of not beating them at Villa Park. So I think it's probably as much as, listen, Villa will be buzzing, the fan base obviously buzzing, the dressing room. Emery will be super proud that he's pulled that off tonight. I think it's what it does for what the outside perception is.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think people will think, actually, Villa have dominated that game.
Yeah, and I think if you only saw when they flash up the results on Sky or BBC or whenever, if you didn't see any of the game and you just saw Villa 1, Man City 0, you probably go, smash and grab. Like Villa maybe caught them on the counter or won a penalty or something. But if you actually watch the game and see any of the metrics to go with the stats of shots on target or XG or whatever, apart from possession, Villa dominated Man City across every metric you can imagine. So this wasn't a smash and grab, as obviously everyone watching this will know. But this is probably the one that we needed, along with Spurs, to be fair, for people who were maybe unsure about Villa or Emery's second season syndrome and all this nonsense we've heard from others of going, Villa are the real deal. This is serious now. Villa are a proper, genuine top 4 contender. No doubt about it.
Well, I've seen some remarkable stats.
Unbelievable.
In terms of the amount of shots that we had. I don't think Man City had a corner, did they?
No.
And I'm just thinking back to the second half when we obviously Bailey's got the goal, but we've also had the one where Dougie's had that one that looks like it's creeping in and comes back off the post. We've had McGinn when he stepped inside and slotted it just wide. We've had Dougie denied by Edison, close range, haven't we, as well? That's probably in a 15-minute spell in the second half. And that was relentless. It was kind of charge after charge after charge after charge. I don't know when Man City have ever faced that many charges, mate, to be honest. But
zing, nice.
Oh, I've burnt myself out now.
I was going to say you've lost your point then, haven't you? Just you mentioned a couple of
jokes.
You mentioned a couple of good stats from Opta. Aston Villa had 13 shots against Man City at the half-time break, the most ever faced by a Pep Guardiola team in the first half of a match in Europe's 5 big leagues, tonight being his 535th game. I also saw that his 2 shots that Haaland had, or 2 shots that Man City had overall, is the lowest that he's ever had in a game. I think in the Premier League, at least. I think before that it was 4, so we've halved the amount of shots that they've had as a lowest total. And another one that I've seen, I haven't got it in front of me specifically in terms of numbers, but it's our best start to a league campaign since 1981. If anyone remembers what happened that year, I'm not quite sure.
It's mad, isn't it? It's just remarkable. And I'm just thinking back to during the game. I think it was in the first half. Man City looked shocked, I think, a little bit. I know they come off a poor run of form by their standards, but they looked a little bit shell shocked. And when you're seeing, I mean, I like John Stones. I think he's one of the best players in the league. I think he's a class act, whether he plays centre half or whether he plays in midfield. But I don't think he could even get on the ball. Or not get on the ball in an effective way tonight. And there's one moment in the first half where he's tried to Cruyff turn near the Holt end byline and stuck it straight out of play. And then there's another moment 5 minutes later where kind of Phil Foden's done a kind of air kick at the back post, I think. And this is like, listen, footballers make mistakes, but we don't expect this from Manchester City, who can be kind of quite like machine-like in a way, in the way they steamroll the teams. But Villa did that to them. Villa denied them that space. Villa maintained that intensity. Yeah. And I think I said in the podcast that we did the other day, Dan, that this is proper delusions of grandeur and complacency and getting ahead of myself. But almost kind of winning at Villa Park is coming so easy to us that can we find that other notch with the support of the crowd and with the atmosphere? Can we find that to really compete against the elite? And we stepped up and we rose to that challenge as well today. Yeah. So we just seem to find a way of rising to challenges. And long may it continue.
You love this, don't you? I see that little smirk on your face for those that are only listening. I will say very quickly, we're 25 minutes into obviously a live stream on YouTube only. There's 1,000 people watching just gone midnight as we go into Thursday. There'll be thousands more listening or watching to this on the rest of Thursday and heading up to that Arsenal game on the weekend. We'll have plenty more content between now and Saturday. So I just think we just have to keep going. It's just so much fun to talk about Aston Villa in any regard, whether it's a combined 11 with Man City or a Q&A or a preview or whatever it is. Everything that's Aston Villa at the moment is just a joy, and it's the best. As you said before, this is probably one of the best teams you've seen in your lifetime, and obviously you're older than me, so the same goes for me as well. But I've always said about like the O'Neill era being my favourite. Dean Smith giving me so many great memories as well, but obviously a totally different thing, promotion for the Championship. Unai Emery and what he's done at Villa in just over a year, you really do believe that this is the beginning of a great chapter for this football club, rather than just a flash in the pan of it being, well, it's 6 months worth of good results, but let's see where they are in a year or two. The genuinely feels like there's something special happening here, and whether it's Champions League qualification this year or silverware or a title race or whatever it is, this only feels like the beginning of something rather than, okay, well, it's good now, but it'll probably fall off soon.
Yeah, when we said earlier in this conversation about Emery still needs to kind of rubber stamp this with Champions League qualification or a trophy or whatever it might be, I want that to happen. Obviously, I do because I'm greedy. I'm a Villa fan, and success has been, it hasn't been a regular thing in the last few decades. But I think we need it to happen, because I imagine the narrative after this, as people kind of pour over it on, the pundits on Sky and on TalkSport and et cetera, and in the newspapers. And I think what the narrative will probably start to be is, I know they've won tonight, but Eric Ten Hag's under pressure. Wouldn't Unai Emery be brilliant at a big football club like Manchester United? It wouldn't surprise me if the closer we get to Manchester City facing their trial date and talk about Pep leaving in a couple of years, that he's kind of anointed as the next successor for Pep. And that's just England, and then there's going to be big jobs across Europe. But again, I'm a Villa fan, so I'm obviously biased, but don't talk us down. We're a massive football club. We've come from nowhere in the last 3 or 4 years after a really bleak time with shrewd decision making, whether that was, You know, whether that was appointing Dean Smith at the time when we needed to, whether that was sacking Steven Gerrard at the time when we needed to. Certainly, that was appointing Unai Emery. Don't, you know, and I can understand it. I can understand why elite managers get linked with theoretically the biggest jobs, but he's got work to do here. He's got work to do here, and he's got the foundations and the platform and the board and a fan base who are completely invested in it, and a squad. And that's not just the first team; that's a squad who are completely invested in it. He's been given the authority and the trust to try and build out this football club beyond what the first team does. So everybody can link him to whoever they want. You know, I feel sorry for the rest of football that they don't have Unai Emery. We do, and we're desperate to keep him because we know what he can do, and we know that he's got the perfect laboratory conditions to make that happen here. So keep your bloody hands off him.
We've spoken about this before, almost tongue in cheek, over various Q&As and things we've done. Of obviously, what you've just said about Unai Emery is spot on, and we feel the same, and we felt the same for.
I've lost you, Dan. You there? Am I still on? Oh, Dan's gone. I'm on my own, am I? It's a big monologue. I don't know what to fill with, Dan. I can do some chants if you want. I'm stressed. I don't know what to say. Come back. I'm going to make myself blush. Dan, come back. Don't leave us. I'm just going to check my notes. What else have I got to say? Oh, actually, folks, I probably shouldn't be dipping in with this because it's been a successful night, and I don't want to be a massive moaner. But the referee tonight, I think it was. I didn't notice him first half because I don't know. I was probably too busy eulogising about John McGinn throughout the first half. But second half, I just found him so pernickety, if that's a word. Just kind of. I don't know. I just think he seemed to let go some really kind of obvious some obvious blatant fouls on our guys, particularly Ollie Watkins, I think, down by the Trinity Road touchline, but then pulled us up on some really, really stupid, harmless fouls. Who's that? I'm just reading some of the things here. Ivor Biggins, superb ref, never lost with him in our games. I think he did our best to change that one today. Yeah, Bailey was chopped down as well. I'm just trying to read down your notes to try. Bear with me a sec. I've got a message from Dan. Hang on, hold the line. Even my foot, Dan. It's my Wi-Fi that's gone down. Yeah, we're aware of that, Dan. Even my 4G is no good if you can keep talking. Bloody hell, he's asking a lot of me now. Just thought ref was very good. So RA Venture thought ref was very good, to be fair. Hardly noticed him, thought he was fair, and that's all we ask. Danny Bland, soup chat. No soup tonight, Danny, I'm afraid. I'll tell you what you can do. I need to be reminded to put the bins out when I'm done. It's bin night. Oh, God, this is killing me, Dan. Come back, Dan. Don't leave me alone. Hold the line. Sounds like the police last Thursday. Yeah, I half expected them Matthew Lang. I half expected them to still be pending, and we got there today. You can do it, Matt. Keep going. Oh, this is horrible. This is really horrible. Let me try and see if I can find him again. How is there still 1,000 people still listening to this crap with me just losing my mind on a kind of misguided monologue? Andy Hiley, a quick question. Did any players that were on 4 yellows get a yellow tonight to miss Saturday's game? Oh, God, anybody in the comments can help him with that? Danny Band, give us a song. What's the score going to be against Arsenal? I said, this is Shaney 1981. The score against Arsenal. I said on Monday, I think we did the podcast, or yesterday, that 3 points. I wanted a minimum of 3 points. And I think, as Dan said, I got a bit of a battering on Twitter by kind of having delusions of grandeur and being a bit excited, a bit overexcited. But I don't know. I can't say I want a minimum of. Well, I can say I want a minimum of 6 points. So I expect us to avoid defeat on Saturday. And like I said earlier, anything like, I think we can do it. I think we can beat Arsenal, and I think that creates a really interesting thoughts in my own mind about what we're capable of. But I think it starts to really kind of put us in the minds of the teams around us that we're more than just an irritant, that we could be around to really try and shake things up. But like I said, let's just bask in the glory of this one before we get too worried about the next one. I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Matt, is Diaby ever getting in the team again? Keep going, Q&A. I think it's nice problems to have, isn't it? You know, I think we've said this before, that I think Bailey has obviously stepped up massively. I think he's become a more responsible team player. I think, like I said, his footwork tonight was magnificent, and he's obviously conjured up the winning goal. But I think having Diaby there as a presence breathing down his neck has probably been the thing that's kicked him on. And to have that option, that one of them can play and for 60, 70 minutes, but then when their legs begin to tire, we've got fresh blood to bring the other one on. It's just nice problems to have, and I don't want to get into the habit of digging out some of our former players, because they've served us well. If you look at the likes of El Ghazi and Trezeguet, and I know Traore is still with us, but the upgrade that we've undergone in recent years in that position in itself just epitomises the upgrade that we've gone across the pitch. Top four or a cup win, or win a cup this year. I'm still an old man, aren't I? So I still want us to have something shiny. Both. Let's be greedy. Let's have both. I think it's possible. I think we can go all the way in the Conference League. I think with the exception of the first Warsaw game, I think we've managed to navigate that, with some of our understudies and do that well. I think we can go all the way in that. I really hope that we do. Top four, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad that we're even having this discussion. But yeah, both. Reflect on the journey from relegation to this moment, Matt. It's interesting because I saw some quotes from Dean Smith that he gave to Matt Law from the Telegraph, just talking about kind of how proud he was that the core of this team, but the core of his team, or how can I phrase it? Some of oh God, just gibbering now. I wish that had come back. Dean Smith saying that how proud he was that some of the team that he put together were able to step up and achieve this level. And I think, probably John McGinn is the one who epitomises that tonight. He was, in my mind, the best midfielder on the pitch. Most of his competition came from his fellow teammates in claret and blue. But if you look at the journey that he's gone on, you look at players like Ezri Konsa, who's now nearly an England international, got the call up in the last squads, and you look at Ollie Watkins, who's well on his way to becoming our record Premier League scorer. These were players who were either playing, in John McGinn's case, were playing in the SPL and then in the Championship for Aston Villa. I think it's remarkable. I think it's remarkable, and some of the quality that we've added around the edges. So the journey from relegation to here, I still can't. I can't believe that it's happened so quickly. I think it's, like I said earlier, in terms of Emery having the perfect laboratory conditions to thrive at Aston Villa. I think it's a credit to the ownership that they've been able to do that. talking about relegation and that playoff final against Fulham, where there was talk of us kind of unpaid tax bills, and Dan's going to be wondering what I'm ranting on about here, because I'm going way back into the past, but how close we were to the brink, and then to have Nassif Sawiris and Wes Edens kind of not only rescue us from the brink, but run the football club in a way that they've been owners who are prepared to invest and back, but not interfere. And I think that's a brilliant leadership and management from them. That whether it's been Purslow as the CEO previously, to the kind of Emery taking control of lots of matters, they have a trust in the people around them, and rather than we've seen it at lots of football clubs where owners want to come in and make kind of Hollywood signings or make Hollywood managerial appointments, and it doesn't necessarily end that well. So I think that's probably the biggest tribute that I can pay them, that they just haven't interfered. They've tried to make good appointments and trust the people who they've put in those positions. McGinn, Steve Bruce signing. Yeah, I've lost track of whose man he is. I think, was he Steve Bruce's man, and then Dean Smith's man, and then Stephen Gerrard's man, and now he's Unai Emery's man. But yeah, fair play to him. I think that's probably Bruce's greatest legacy. I think that McGinn signed under his management, and that he's absolutely flourished since then. 3 best squads in the league at the moment, says Bold the Villain: Arsenal, Liverpool, and Villa. Let's see if that's the case come the end of the season. Steve Webster, tell us about the pies. I'm feeling here, Dan. You're back.
I'll just go to bed.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm exhausted.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what.
Have you frozen again? Oh, Dan, don't do this for me. Can you still hear me, people? Yeah.
Are you logged in as me?
Am I logged in as you?
Yeah.
I don't think so, am I?
Okay, well, we're going to have to end it then, because if I don't end it now, you're not going to be able to end it, and you'll be stuck here all night.
Well, if you're back, we can still talk if you want. If you're back.
I'm on my 4G, so it's, it's iffy, isn't it? It's normally you that have all these problems, so this is weird for me. You just 10 minutes on your own, by the way, so fair play. Can we have a round of applause?
I wouldn't thank me. I thank the poor people who are listening, who have given me some inspiration to just waffle on in the comments. So
I will edit some of that down for those of who are listening to the fact of this tomorrow, to get rid of some of the pauses. That's probably the best. That's what I was going to say. That's probably the best podcasting we've done, to be fair. As long as you can hear me and see me all right, we can carry on for... I had one more question. I don't know whether it cut out or whether you answered me or not, about Emery's contract. Have you talked about that or not?
That's probably the only thing I haven't talked about yet. I've been talking about how I need to put the bins out and stuff like that, and how I'm not having soup tonight, but I've not mentioned Emery's contract. Go on.
Okay. My original question was, before my Wi-Fi went off, I don't know why, and I'm full of sneezes. Yeah, obviously we've talked about Emery a lot, haven't we, and how much we love him, and we've been saying that for 6 months, 10 months, however long he's been here. It's been, he's pretty good, isn't he? We want to keep this guy. Obviously, he's on a long-term contract anyway, and the longest contract that we've ever given to a manager, as far as I'm aware, which is probably, a 5-year deal or something, maybe. So he came in 2022, so say he's got a contract to 26 or 27. Given what he's done over the last year, do you give him a new deal? Do you just give him bumper pay rise or whatever, just to give him that confidence behind him to say, yeah, look, this is how much you mean to us. Here's another big deal, or is that not really worth it?
I think you probably listen. Everybody is motivated by money to a certain degree, but I think Emery. I think it was really important for Emery to rebuild his reputation in this country, because across Europe, he was already a respected figure. I think he became a bit of a meme at Arsenal.
Yeah,
I think he got a really tough, kind of impossible job at Arsenal anyway, in terms of the time that he went in there. So I think he's grateful and values the fact that Aston Villa have been the ones who have given him that chance to to not only kind of rewrite his reputation but enhance it massively. So I think that in itself, I'm not saying that would stave off any interest from other football clubs, but I think that in itself engenders the sense of loyalty. The fact that he has been given, an element of control in terms of football matters and in terms of bringing in the people he trusts, I think will go a long way. He's not a stupid man. Far from it. I think he will know that he might not at other football clubs get this level of control. So in terms of, do you entice him to stay by giving him a bumper new contract? Yeah, I think you probably give him that as a reward rather than as an incentive, because I don't know. I'd love to have been privy to the conversations that he had with the owners when they did the kind of selling job on him. And I think, a lot was made of it. It was Nassif Sawiris, wasn't it? I think who was supposed to put in a lot of the groundwork with him. But I can't imagine that he's fallen short of what he was asked to do. I can imagine he was asked to save Aston Villa from relegation in the first season. I think he'd probably done that within his first 8 weeks. To be honest, but so yes, I do think I'd throw whatever he wants at it in terms of his own personal terms, but I don't think that will be the deciding factor. I think the deciding factor will be, can I achieve things with this football club? Can I win as much and compete as much that I don't need to cast an envious glance elsewhere? Because I've got the scale of investment, I've got the control of the football club, I've got the support of the board, I've got the love of the fan base. I think those are things that are going to be just as important to him as another couple of noughts on his paycheck, really.
Yeah, I mean, we've given him a lot, haven't we? And you say we've given him an element of control. He basically runs the show, doesn't he? He's got his scouts with him. He's got Vidigani there. He's got Monchi. He's got Alex Moreno and any other signings he wanted over the summer. We've done this partnership deal thing with Rail Union over there that is family owned. There's no bigger show of confidence than that, is it? That we're investing as you as a person and as a family as well. It's I don't think you can do much more to show him how much we mean, but in football terms, giving someone a new contract when they've done well is a pretty standard thing to do, isn't it? So maybe at the end of the season, if we finish top four or something, you then give him an improved deal then. My only other thing that I wanted to talk about before we go, I mean, we've been recording 47 minutes, but I've only been here for 37, so I'm happy to do another 10 minutes.
Well, you did 10 on your own.
Oh, no, I couldn't have done what you've just done. Although I've not seen what you've just done, so maybe I could.
Oh, my. Just chop it all out.
Obviously Arsenal then on the weekend, we've come a long way, haven't we, from the Steven Gerrard days of saying these teams would come to Villa Park and wipe the floor with us. We've just beat Man City. We can make it 15 wins in a row at Villa Park this Saturday evening. This was the game that I put down of the two that I thought was winnable. They conceded 3 goals to Luton. Yes, they seem to find a knack of scoring a last-minute winner. It's been a couple of times this season they've done that. But I genuinely think we can beat Arsenal as well. And if we are talking about 6 points in a week and three at Spurs and 1 at Bournemouth and 10 points from those games and the win in Europe as well, that would be some testament to what Villa have done over the last month or so and their credentials for a top 4 place, title race, whatever you want to call it. What do you make of that game Saturday now? Are you going for 6 points? Do you think that's genuinely doable now?
I think I've already answered that, Dan, if you'd have been listening.
Sorry.
5 minutes ago. I was just saying that I don't think we'll lose, to be honest. I think we're more than capable of winning it. I think we need to match the intensity levels and the quality levels that we've shown. I don't think Arsenal will necessarily fancy it. They'll be buzzing at kind of getting out of jail at Luton with the way that one panned out. But I don't think we'll lose. I don't want to be too cocky and too confident to say that we'll win. But you'd take that, wouldn't you? You'd take that point.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit like the Bournemouth and Spurs thing, isn't it? If you'd have got a point tonight and then beat Arsenal, you'd say that's really good because you've won tonight. If you only got a point on Saturday, you might think that was a little bit disappointing. But I also agree. I don't think we'll lose. I still think we'll win. I've got this weird feeling that we'll beat them as well, and that'll be absolutely massive. There's a weird narrative around the game, isn't there? Emery coming back to Arsenal. We've done Arsenal a favour tonight, but we can really put the boot in by beating them as well on Saturday and saying, yeah, well, we did you a favour in the week, getting you out of jail with your last minute winner at Luton. We beat Man City for you, and you've got to come to our place and we'll beat you as well.
Yeah, and I think the atmosphere will be a massive factor as well. I thought it was bouncing tonight. I thought
the time again, won't it? Saturday tea time.
Yeah, I thought sometimes you get the kind of halt starting things, and then the North Stand will start bits of it. I thought as close as 40,000 people can be in unison. I thought it was great tonight. I'm such a kind of pessimist, Dan, and I'm such a kind of cautious kind of fella normally, that my mind can't bring me to think what would happen if we'd win, because I think if we won on Saturday, my mind would start thinking, crap, we're in the thick of it now. We're in a title race, and that already opens me up. You know, I've always said the analogy, haven't I, about I don't open my Christmas presents till about 5 to midnight, because they're always disappointing. They're always better wrapped up, and I think I don't want to face the fact that we're good, because if I start to believe that we're good and really good, I'll be dreading when we lose. I know that's a pathetic thing to say, but I said to I did say to the bloke sitting next to me and his lad that this is the moment. We do have to enjoy this, because this doesn't come round. This doesn't come round very often. Like I said, I'm a really old man, and this is close to the best thing that I've seen in my life, supporting Aston Villa. The kids of today, people of your generation. When
I'm very lucky to still be in the kids of today, by the way.
Yeah, the youth of today, when a playoff final victory over Derby County, as exciting as brilliant as that was, if that's the heights of what you've seen, you've got to pay attention to every last moment of this, because I think we're witnessing something special. I think we're witnessing history. We need to win something, don't we? We need to achieve something for that to be the case. But in terms of what we're witnessing with our eyes, the standard of football, the control that we exert over games, the improvement that we're seeing from footballers, the style of football that we're playing, this is kind of groundbreaking and pioneering, as far as I can see, from being a Villa fan. So although I try and hold a little bit of myself back, because I don't want the rug to be pulled and to suffer this disappointment, I'm still kind of old enough and wise enough to think we're witnessing something that we should be really, really proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's pretty much a good place to end it. Although one final question to you and to the comments as well, which I do apologise, I've not read any specific ones out this evening or flashed any on screen.
I'll spend 10 minutes reading them, mate. Don't worry.
Oh, did you? Okay, good. I thought, yeah, what else would you have been doing when you were sat on your own? There's still over 1,000 people watching at midnight now. No one dropped off, Matt, in that 10-minute period that you did. So
I think their Wi-Fi must have gone as well.
The question to the comments, I will read some of these if enough people get involved. And the question to you, Matt, I think little John Townley's holding up this evening. When Traore scored that goal against Leicester to almost send us into Europe, he was basically in tears on the podcast. What's he been up to tonight, do you reckon?
Who knows with little John Townley? I'm going to have a word with him for giving Kamara less than a 10, to be honest. If any of his players have got less than that, bless him. I've been lucky enough to sit in that chair as the Villa reporter for the club that you love, and that that's the career path you've taken. He's come to him quite young, but again, he's able to report on something that not many of his predecessors have been able to witness anything like this. So I should imagine he's buzzing, bless him. But I should also know, given the way that we demand graft from him, he probably hasn't had much time to step away from his keyboard to savor it. But yeah, bless him. Let's hope he's giving 10 out of 10 player ratings on Saturday night as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments laughing at Little John, which I think it might be a nickname that sticks now. Also, very quickly, this is such a stupid point to bring up 55 minutes into this. Clean sheet. Kind of overlook that. We've obviously talked at the start about Man City being limited to shots, having one moment from Haaland with 2 efforts in it with the double save. But we've kind of talked about the elusive clean sheet for Villa and for Martinez. wouldn't have put down it as a prediction for Villa to get it against Man City, would you? I've totally overlooked that. It's such an obvious thing because we've only won 1-0, but clean sheet's massive.
Yeah, I don't know why my mind's gone to this, but didn't we get a kind of 0-0 against them under Remy Gard?
Yeah, was it his first game?
Keep a clean sheet in his first game, I think. But that was slightly less controlled performance and more of a back to the wall performance, if I remember. But just on that Martinez double save, he wasn't offside for the second one, was he, Haaland? He looked like he stepped back on from an offside position, but I don't think the flag went up, did he?
No, I think
I'm
he
not
was
trying to
on.
take anything away from it.
No, I think he was onside, but I couldn't say for definite.
But I was amazed that I thought he'd still be on the floor from the first one, Martinez.
No,
so how he's leapt up and got across to do that. Yeah, it was a well deserved clean sheet, and you know it's mad, isn't it? Because some of the goals that have been scored at the top end of the table in recent nights or recent days. So, but the fact that Villa, I always back us to score. I always back us to score under Emery, and that having that solid platform tonight. Not that we were threatened; we weren't even threatened very often.
It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. Let's call it a night there then, or an early morning, I guess. Matt, thank you very much. I just realised we're on the wrong side now. I've joined again. I feel like Anton Deck and we're stood on the wrong side of each other. Can I change it?
Think people know?
Yeah, I can change it.
Think people will be able to tell us apart?
No, it's weird, isn't it? They probably thought that was me. You were me then. Thought all that being on the wrong side. Thank you so much for everyone who stuck with us during my internet problems. For some reason, my mobile data has held up better than my home Wi-Fi for the last 15 minutes or so. I did open another tab to check Twitter, and everything went to a bit of a standstill, so I'll quickly close that down. Matt, thank you very much for filling in. Very much appreciated. Although you literally couldn't stop the stream without me coming back in, so you really didn't have much choice but to just keep winging it.
Well, when you go back to edit it for the podcast version, you'll find real moments of panic. When I think I begged for you to return at one stage because I'm a bit of a mess, but I've done my best anyway.
Well, I might have to leave most of that in because when am I going to edit that now? It's half midnight, so I might just have to leave it as is. I'll try and tidy it up if I can. Thank you everyone for watching along live. If you're watching this obviously on Thursday or Friday after the fact, apologies that the YouTube version is an absolute state, but hopefully the Spotify and iTunes, etc. is a lot more tidy. Just quickly for those that have listened to the very end, iTunes reviews is something I'm after. I want a little push on that if possible. Our last iTunes review was like a year ago. And people watch the podcast, listen to the podcast regularly, and we've got loads of listeners. But it'd be nice if people can just scroll down and leave us a review with a little comment. Those things kind of help podcasts reach a new audience, so I'm told. So if you
but
leave
the
an
first review
iTunes review, that'd be nice.
The first review would be who's that wobbly mess talking to himself for 10 minutes for it. So why don't we get to review it next time?
Yeah, iTunes reviews very much appreciated. Matt, thanks for your time as always. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back with possibly another video on Thursday. If not, it'll be the Inside Bodymore preview show for Arsenal on Friday. Me and John are going to do that live because obviously we play Saturday, so there's very little time between the press conference and the match, and that'll probably be 6 or 7 p.m. on Friday evening. We'll do it live and we'll preview the Arsenal game with an opposition reporter and all those kind of things. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple of days. Bye everyone. Thank you, Matt. Round of applause for you. I've got to press the end button. There we go. Bye.